Spider-Man is one of the consistently successful characters in modern pop culture. Different actors, different tones, even different universes, and somehow it just keeps working. Sony clearly knows Spider-Man is valuable. I mean, they've built entire franchises around that fact. But when you look at the movies Sony keeps making around Spider-Man, it feels like they've learned the wrong lesson from his success. Because Spider-Man doesn't work because of his suit, or the villains, or even the shared universe. He works because the stories are personal, and that's the part Sony keeps missing. At his core, Spider-Man is not a power fantasy. Peter Parker doesn't want to be Spider-Man, he has to be. And every good Spider-Man story understands that the most important stakes are never world-ending, they're personal. It's about guilt, obligation, sacrifice, and the consequences that stick. Even when Spider-Man is fighting aliens or gods, the story still comes back to his aunt, his friends, and his sense of failure. That's why Spider-Man survives reboots, because you can change the actor, change the setting, you can even change the universe, but as long as the story stays grounded to who Peter is, it works. Spider-Man stories feel small, even when they're big. Sony, on the other hand, seem to believe Spider-Man works because of his brand, recognizable characters, iconic villains, a shared universe that promises future payoffs. So instead of asking, why do people connect with Spider-Man, they ask, how many Spider-Man adjacent characters can we spin off? That's how you end up with movies that look like Spider-Man stories but don't actually feel like them, because they're built from the outside in. They can copy the aesthetic, the tone, or the references, but they can't copy the emotional structure. It's the difference between understanding a story and recognizing it. This is where things get a bit messy, because Venom did work, at least commercially, but not for the reasons Sony seems to think. Venom succeeded because it was simple, it was self-contained, and it was extremely honest about what it was. It didn't pretend to be a deep universe builder, it focused on one relationship, and that relationship is between Eddie and Venom. The movie leaned into absurdity and a clear central dynamic. Audiences didn't show up because they wanted a Spider-Man universe. They showed up because it was fun and coherent. Sony saw that success and learned the wrong lesson. Instead of thinking, people like this execution, they thought people want more of this universe. So they doubled down on expansion without fixing the foundation. Movies like Morbius aren't just bad because of writing or performances. They're bad because they don't know what they're supposed to be. They feel like origin stories without the urgency, superhero films without the heroism, and universe entries without identity. They exist because the universe demands them to exist, not because the story needs them. And that's the exact opposite of what makes Spider-Man work. Spider-Man stories are driven by need, the spin-offs are driven by strategy, and audiences can definitely feel the difference. Because the Spider-Verse films understand Spider-Man better than anything else Sony is currently making. Those films succeed because the character comes first, emotion leads spectacle, style serves story. Miles Morales works not because he's Spider-Man, but because the story earns him becoming Spider-Man. The Spider-Verse films are confident enough to be specific, emotional, and complete on their own. They don't exist to tease the next big thing. They exist to be that thing, and that's the lesson Sony keeps ignoring. The danger here isn't just box office underperformance, it's erosion. Because when audiences stop trusting a studio's output, they stop showing up by default. They wait, check reactions, check reviews, they disengage. Spider-Man's strength has always been trust. Trust that the character will be respected, that the story will mean something, the emotion will land. By building a universe that misunderstands why Spider-Man works, Sony risks burning the goodwill the character generates. Not through overuse, but through misinterpretation. Stan Lee created Spider-Man as a character that we could relate to. He wanted us to understand the character. It was something that hadn't been done before, and it's why it worked so well and why it still to this day resonates with all of us. Spider-Man keeps working because his stories understand people, that understand responsibility, failure, and the cost of doing the right thing. Sony's biggest mistake isn't using Spider-Man too much, it's misunderstanding him, because you can't reverse engineer emotional connection from IP alone. And until Sony stops copying Spider-Man's surface and starts respecting his structure, they'll keep learning the wrong lesson. If you want more videos like this, hit the like button and follow for more.